Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am driving the Renault Kwid, but there's an espresso here because we at Motorbeam are shooting both these cars. So if you want to see between the comparison which one is better, just click on the pop-out banner on the top right to see that video. Let's get the espresso out of the way. I feel like having coffee. Started by the Hyundai Kona, followed by the Tata Harrier, then the MG Hector and then the Hyundai Venue. Hi guys and welcome back to the vlog. I am driving the Renault Kwid. The espresso is out of the way. What is common between all the cars I mentioned? Well, the way the headlights have been placed. Anyway, straight away let's open the engine bay. It is super duper light. You can actually do this all day long. Engine is compact, there's insulation right there as well, and there are a lot of changes on the Kwid facelift. Now this is not the first facelift of the car, this happens to be the second one, but this one is more comprehensive. So what they have done is the top side happens to have the LED DRL, which is common across all variants. Meanwhile, the headlights have been shifted below. So yeah, there is where the headlights are on the bumper, but still it offers a decent throw. There is a towing hook. Now this LED DRL is made to merge into this chrome on the grille. The grille is large, so is the Renault logo as well. Now this being the climber gets these orange elements surrounding the headlight as well. There it is, along with on the lower half of the bumper too. And even the outside rear view mirrors are finished in orange. You get indicator on this above the wheel arch, actually on the wheel arch. Meanwhile, you get this side cladding as well for that SUV-ish look. In fact, body side cladding here as well. Climber written here, I have no idea what climber means. Meanwhile, the wheels on this car happen to be a 165/70/14. They moved from 13 to 14. Now the climber has got this dark colored wheel caps. Yeah, these are wheel caps, these are not alloys. Yeah, there is the proof of the pudding. Anyways, as you can see, the design of the Kwid is more or less the same. I mean, the shape is more or less the same. They've actually revised the design heavily at the front. So the length is actually increased minutely, I believe, by 52 mm because the bumpers are now bigger, and all this has been done to meet, crash test norms. Meanwhile, you also get this orange treatment on the roof rails, and it clearly says caution, do not apply load. So these might be roof rails, but they're not functional. They're only for the aesthetic purpose. I'm so sorry, the car is a little dirty right now because today happens to be a Monday and I'm reshooting this vlog because the previous one I shot, the audio did not come as clear as I was expecting it to. Anyways, from the rear again you get that fake skid plate along with that orange treatment right there. Parking sensors, reverse camera here nicely between the Renault logo, and the tail lights also see revision, so there are LEDs for the brake lights. Meanwhile, the indicators as well as the reverse parking light happens to be a halogen. Reflectors Renault written right there. So overall design of the car is decent, I would say. Yeah, I mean, it is an attractive car by small car standards. Meanwhile, you get a massive antenna which is transmitting signal to NASA, probably. Actually, not to NASA, but to outer space. There are no door pockets, absolutely no door pockets, which is disappointing. As I get inside, I realize that space is decent for a small car, but headroom isn't that great, and under thigh support is also lacking. Meanwhile, knee room and legroom is just about adequate. No scooped out seat back, no magazine holder, so storage space at the rear, well, it's not there at all. It's missing. Handle, cabin isn't that wide, and you know what? No headrest in this car gets any adjustment. They fixed headrest. Meanwhile, you get a center armrest without cup holders though. But you know what? Even cast twice the price like the Volkswagen Polo do not get it. So there's storage space here for your bottles. You can slot your bottles right there. Meanwhile, the parcel shelf area is massive as well. So overall cabin isn't that wide, so two people can sit here comfortably. Floor is almost flat. Meanwhile, as you can see, it also gets power windows at the rear, which happens to be optional, I believe. So is the front passenger airbag, which is optional. No rear wiper on offer. Now, it obviously doesn't get passive entry or any of that sort. It doesn't need it. However, the front door pocket is massive. It's big enough, I would say. Meanwhile, this is actually the switch. Okay, stop making noise. This is actually the switch to open the hood. This is the switch for headlight leveling. Kind of weird how it's placed. Meanwhile, it doesn't get a dead pedal. Climber written on the mats. Now, many of it is optional. Yeah, as you can see, a lot of orange treatment. Climber written on the seat as well. Nice treatment, which also extends to the steering wheel. So this is a nice way of actually having a toll receipt holder because there is none on the sun visor. Let me get inside and tell you straight away that yeah, the car kind of feels light. See, there is nothing here at all, and there's nothing here either. Forget the concept of auto dimming inside your view mirror. This doesn't even have a concept of a dimming mirror. So, if you want to dim it, like if you think there's reflection coming, just turn it around the way you like. And another problem here is that the outside rear view mirrors are not internally adjustable. If you want to adjust it, yeah, this is how you actually adjust the outside rear view mirrors. So, a little bit of a jugaad here and there, but there's plenty of storage space here in the center. thankfully, because there's storage space here, there's storage space here, there's a 12-volt charging socket, there's a USB slot along with an aux port as well, there's storage space below the handbrake as well. Meanwhile, this glove box, the top one, has been removed because the airbag is coming there right now. However, the old Kwid, which did have a glove box on the top, the glove box lid was absolutely flimsy, so that is a good thing that they've removed it. Meanwhile, they've increased the glove box size as well, which is a decent size actually. So as you can see, the dashboard is plain and simple, and you get this new steering wheel as well. Now there is this clamber sort of a treatment along with piano black finish, which is also extending on the center console. Let me turn on the car right away. There it rose to life. Power window controls are here in the center. This is to lock or unlock the vehicle. Obviously it doesn't auto lock, it doesn't even auto unlock, so when you park the car and turn it off, you have to manually do it. These are actually the controls for the air conditioning of the vehicle, and thankfully they've given a manual dial for the audio control volume. Meanwhile, this is for voice commands, which only works with Siri, so unless and until your phone is connected, that's not going to work. It takes a little bit of a time for the phone to connect. To get into reverse, you lift this, push it front left, there it is, the reverse parking camera. It gets guidelines, but the guidelines are obviously not adaptive. These are the controls for the headlights, these are the controls for the wipers. Sorry, wiper, there's only one wiper in this car. There's good amount of spray on offer, but only one wiper in this car. I love the treatment on the steering wheel, that's also really nice. Now as you can see, yeah, this instrument cluster is new. Alright, it's similar to the one which you see on the Triber. On the left, we obviously get a tachometer. On the right, we get the fuel meter along with the temperature meter and telltale lights everywhere. In the center, we get a digital display, which is for the speedometer as well as for various other parameters like the odometer and twin trip meters as well. It will also tell you instant fuel consumption. Yeah, that is a lot of information for a small car, but hey, that's a good thing. The best thing here is that there's no glass here, so it does not reflect. So it's just so much easier to see even in bright daylight. Meanwhile, as you can see, in terms of features, there's not much as such because yeah, Renault does give central locking, and the key also has the lock and unlock button on top of it as well, which is again nice. The seats are actually comfortable but a bit hard for my liking. Yeah, the seats are surely very hard. Bolstering is fine, but the hardness is a bit too much. Meanwhile, air conditioning works well. I like this orange sort of a treatment, reminds me of KTM. Let's turn on the car again. As I told you, it rose to life. That orange treatment also comes on the gear lever. So because they made revisions to the center console, that gear selector which is there on the AMT model is now somewhere in the center. I'll do a separate vlog on that as well. Now this thing is actually quite nice. It's an 8-inch screen, yeah, the touchscreen infotainment system. It gets Apple CarPlay, it gets Android Auto connectivity as well, and audio quality is so. So let's play an audio right away. Audio quality is just about average. It's not great to be honest, but then from a small car, what do you expect? Meanwhile, Renault's written Kwid here, which is just to remind you which car you're driving, and they do it with every car. So in Duster is written there, which is actually a nice thing because most people forget, actually the co-passenger tends to forget which car that person is in, and it's extremely important to know that as well. Now as you can see, this thing is really nicely done because although this is one single unit, but having a horn logo here just makes it so much more convenient. Meanwhile, you can see the tachometer is only marked till 1. As you rev it, that increases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's nice. So as you rev, the numbers also keep increasing to tell you exactly what is the RPM of the vehicle. That's again very sweetly done, and I would say overall comfort levels are decent for a small car. Meanwhile, the horn actually, okay, power windows open, and here the horn. So you can press it from here, which is again pretty nice, but the horn is a little bit meek. Let's get driving right away. And straight away, let me tell you that the boot capacity is also decreased by I think 21 liters, from 300 liters to 279 liters, because the wheel arches have become bigger to accommodate the 14-inch wheels. Yeah, now I don't think these mats are standard, but the spare wheel is placed below right there, and it happens to be a C8 tire. So this happens to be a same size tire, 165 70 14 inches. Yeah, this exposed bit isn't that really nice, but you can split forward the seat in a single piece to increase the boot carrying capacity. There it is. Car is light. All right, we're all set to go. Revving the motor, revs till 6000 rpm. Wheel spin, first gear, 43 kilometers per hour into second. And as I rev the nuts of the motor, I realize It's supremely loud. Second gear will take it to 78 kilometers per hour, and third should hopefully take us past 100 kilometers per hour. And once you get into third gear, the car will still pull. I think it should do 120 kilometers per hour in third. So performance is quite lively. You know why? Because the weight of this car is more than me, but by a minute margin, because this one weighs 755 kgs only. Yes, it's an extremely light car. However, the weight has increased by around 50 kgs owing to the fact that this had to meet the new emission norms, the crash test norms. That's why Renault has actually, put higher structural material around the doors as well as the wheel arches, so that the car is safer, and the weight has gone up, which has actually reduced the mileage by 1.3 kilometers per liter on this particular variant of the Kwid. Yes, it does wheel spin quite a lot because it is a light car and doesn't have the widest of tires you would see in even a small car. So as you can see, performance is more than adequate because we are on the highway and I'm revving the nuts out of this motor. But let me tell you one thing straight away, low-end performance is a bit lacking. Which means that in the city, it doesn't have the slickest of performance that you would expect from this vehicle. And you know why? The reason is very, very, very simple. It just doesn't have the grunt lower down. Meanwhile, the mid-range is where it is the strongest. Yes, mid-range punch is the best. So as long as you are in the mid-range of the vehicle, it really performs well. Another great small car is right in front of us. The Chevrolet Spark, which was before it got named to Chevy, was sold as the Daewoo Matiz in the Indian market. What a fantastic small car. Anyways, let's not digress and talk about the Kwid. So performance is great in the mid-range, but once you hit 4000 RPM, it dulls down and redlines at just 6000 RPM. 6000 RPM isn't much for a small petrol engine. This is a 1 liter unit, 3 cylinders. They also have a 800cc engine which produces 14 horsepower less at 54 horsepower. That one doesn't really have great performance. So do me a favor, actually do yourself a favor. If you're buying a Kwid, just get the 1 liter. Do not even look at the 800cc model. So like I was telling you, mid-range is where the action is, because otherwise it simply doesn't have enough oomph lower down, and in the top end as well. The top end is completely lacking in this vehicle. You have to really work around the gearbox. The good thing is it's a slick shifting unit. The clutch is also light, although the throws are on the longer side. It is very, very smooth and easy to pilot this Kwid. The Kwid has a very simple principle. If you want performance, what you have to do is rev the nuts out of this motor, because if you don't, it simply does not perform as much as you would expect it to. Well, that's acceptable that you rev the nuts out, drop a gear and disappear. But the problem is, as and when you increase the revs of this engine, it becomes noisier and noisier and noisier. So NVH is far from being the best, rather it is just about average. And the other problem is at idle, there are some amount of vibrations which can be felt on the steering wheel as well as the gear lever, but they seem to be well controlled somehow. So this isn't a highway car as such. It's mainly meant for city driving, because on the highway, especially with a lot of wind, it just doesn't track straight enough. But for a car which weighs this less, it's completely acceptable. The high speed stability of this vehicle, ride quality is also quite good, feels better over bad potholes now because of the bigger wheels on offer. That is some wheel spin, and the motor does rev quite fast, I would say, and the bigger wheels do help on bad potholes. However, the compliance of the suspension has gone down a bit, which means ride quality isn't as good as before. That is due to various reasons. Firstly, they've also increased the ground clearance. Now it is 184 mm. Why do we need so much ground clearance? Obviously for the SUV type look of this vehicle, but ground clearance being so good, you can actually drive it off-road, but you're not going to have power at the rear wheel, so that kind of defeats the purpose of having so much ground clearance on offer. However, because of the increase in weight of this vehicle, and of course the increase in size of the tires as well, there's a slight difference in terms of compliance, but still the confidence of this car has improved dramatically, which means that it doesn't feel as nervous as before, especially at higher speeds. But still, this is not a highway car. It's best left to city duties. Making matters worse still is the steering wheel, which has no feel or feedback whatsoever. It is very light at low speeds, which is actually a good thing, because when you're driving the car in the city, it's extremely easy to maneuver and park. But out on the highway, steering does not have any feel whatsoever. It doesn't give you any feedback either. It just tracks ahead wherever it feels like. And the bigger issue is it just doesn't self-center. So it feels really disconnected in the straight ahead position as well. But overall, I would say that the Kwid has decent manners for a small car. Meanwhile, braking performance is adequate, not splendid, adequate I would say, although the tires do offer decent amount of grip, more than enough than what you would expect from a car of this size, because you're really not going to throw it around the corner. But if you do, you will get a lot of body roll, and obviously the disconnected steering feel really doesn't inspire to do that and more. Renault offers the Kwid with 12 variants. Starting price 3.48 lakhs. Top end variant 5.89 lakhs. That's a lot of variants because it's available with an 800cc engine, a 1000cc engine and a 1000cc engine with an AMT gearbox. The price difference between the manual and the automatic is just rupees 40,000, which isn't much honestly. So you rather get the automatic for the convenience, but it's an AMT, so you know it will have the swinging effect. However, the way I see it, the Kwid is a car which offers a lot of visual appeal along with good features as well. It might not be so strong mechanically because the driving feel isn't there. However, in the city, it's more than enough. I mean, the performance as well as the ride and handling balance will keep you happy as long as you're not an enthusiast. And for a first car, this is definitely a very appealing one. I have one major gripe with this vehicle. While fuel economy has reduced by around 1.3 kilometers per liter on this particular version of the Kwid, or rather more on certain variants because of the increase in weight, the big problem here is the fuel tank capacity, which is lesser than the bottle I use for water in the gym. Yes, this has just a 28 liter fuel tank capacity, which is very small indeed. I don't go to the gym, but you know, the bottle I carry to the gym is bigger than 28 liters for sure. Fuel economy is around 14 to 17 kilometers per liter depending on the driving style, which means that this is a very frugal car. The only problem I have is that it reduces my frugalness because every time I see the instrument cluster, it gives that pizza effect, which just makes me hungry and wants me to order a pizza right away. Yeah, there's a lot of road noise which can be felt inside the cabin. Even the engine noise is on the higher side with the Kwid, and compared to its rivals, especially the Maruti Espresso, the Espresso feels like a stronger mechanical package. But in terms of appearance, cosmetic, equipment, features and overall the feel-good factor, the Kwid just top trumps the Espresso, being so much more easier on the eyes. And obviously people who aspire to own an SUV, the Kwid definitely feels like the more proportionate option. So guys, this is my vlog on the Renault Kwid. This happens to be the Climber, by the way. Climber, I don't know what that means, but wait for some time. Renault will come up with some Superman, Batman, Batgirl, Barbie girl editions as well. You're looking for the Barbie girl, right? You can make your this car, your Duster as a Barbie girl edition, because they have all of those, you know, Iron Man edition and whatnot. If you like this vlog, you know what you have to do. Give it the thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video real soon. Meanwhile, it's time to downshift here. We are in 4th, here we are in 3rd, and yeah baby, turbo kicked in yo.